client relationships and back-end selling. In this video, I'll exactly break down why you need client relationships and back-end selling. If you understand anything about business, you need to know that customers are everything. If you don't have customers and if you don't have happy existing customers, your business will not last. Because there's two ways to make money. Now, let me break it down here. The first way you make the money is via getting new people in. You get new clients, or you have old clients. Now, your entire business depends if you have the old clients. Why is that? You need to understand that I worked with so many companies at so many levels, at so many different niches: ghostwriting, men's mental health coach, and e-commerce, and LinkedIn, B2B selling, B2C selling. The most problem where most people get issues with is trust. People have the money, especially when I did B2B, most people have money. When you're talking to a company, I highly advise you should target companies because companies have money. That's the first part. And second of all, they can write the money that you charge them in taxes. So that's also a something wonderful like feature that the companies have as compared to people. That's why info product business is a 3 out of 10 difficulty business. Then the e-commerce business is a 6 out of 10. And then SaaS is a 9 out of 10. Because the more further your reach is, the harder it is to sell. The reason why Coca-Cola or any of these companies do not have recent competitors or they don't have constant competition is that they have mastered a mass amount of audience that wants to buy from them and know their brand. That's why a lot of people, what they do is that they try to copy those exact principles in their business. These are mental notes that I've made, that every client is a human. Now, what happens is that when you read about Coca-Cola, or when you read about any big, large company, they don't really treat their customers like humans, if I'm going to be honest. At a certain scale or level, you cannot look at people as people. You look at them as statistics, a number. Same things countries do. And that's what separates a good leader and a bad leader, and a good company and a bad company that cares about the people or the statistics. So the boiling point that I'm trying to make is that if you're not having more than 200 clients, your clients should get a one-on-one with you once a month. Like that's something everybody should do. And if you're having 200 clients, you're already doing something wrong if you're in the info niche, in the coaching space. But on the higher end, if you have 200 clients, they should get a one-on-one call with you. They should get their resolves in a particular complex manner or their unique manner. They should be solved. Why is that? Is because why would they buy from you then? You have 200 clients. There's a bunch of people that can have that same amount of work that you have, the same amount of talent that you have. Why would they work with you? Because people buy because of the people and not the exact thing. Who wants to buy sugary drinks filled with sugar that can kill them? Nobody. But Coca-Cola is a brand. It sells. People still buy it. There's Diet Coke that people drink all the time. Even I'm guilty of it. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you look at things statistically like people do, you'll start to see that there's a massive disconnect between your level and the level they're playing at. That's why I don't suggest reading business books. That's why I don't suggest getting the old information, because it tells you the company structures and the company marketing. The point is that you need to understand that these people are playing a different game. You're on level 1. You're level 1 crook. They're 100 level boss. And there's no possible way you should even conduct yourself in any aspect of your business in the same way. What you need to do is treat every client as a human. You should make a list, and this is what I advise everybody to do. You can even pause the video, literally pause the video right now and do this. Make a list of where they live and every single condition that their life has. Do they have a family? What type of person they are? What type of business do they have? Because now this thing, first of all, please make the list. Take your time. I'm going to sip my coffee in the meantime. Okay, I hope you made the list. Because this is going to go down into upselling and basically increasing prices. Now, upselling is a thing, but price increasing or price gouging is not real for you at this level. Why? You are increasing. Okay, let me give you an analogy. I come up to you in the middle of the street and we agreed on buying shawarma. People love that, right? Now, the guy who has a shawarma stall that we both and you me buy from, and you come up on the street and you say, "Hey, bro, that shawarma guy, he's selling it for too high. He doubled his prices." Would you and me still buy from that guy? Probably not. But if he's the only guy that sells shawarma, then you're going to buy from him. Why? Because then he has something called dominance. Then he has something called, monopoly. So these big companies, they have a monopoly. That's why, they increase the prices. They do ridiculous things. Look at Apple. The phone is almost the same. Even though I kind of like, some of their models are bad, some of their models are great. All around a great phone, but they have a monopoly. Nobody has an iPhone. Nobody has that brand. People could make an iPhone. It's not that hard to make. It's not hard to replicate the exact architect structure, the UI, everything about it. But what? They have a monopoly. If you make an Apple phone, you probably get DMC. There's a bunch of things that can happen. You're the only one in the market, so you can do whatever you want. But us, on our end, as people, we're small time. We do not have that level of monopoly over the entire industry that we were working with. So what does that leave you with? That leaves you with is seeing the upsell as a way to sell to a human you would on a street. So if I said, "Yo, bro, the shawarma guy is charging double, but he's also giving me two extra dippings, let's say, two extra sides," you're gonna be like, "Okay, that sounds good. No worries," because I'm getting something extra. Now, maybe the cost of the thing is like extremely low. Maybe that dip costs like 2 cents, and he's selling it that for 20 cents. Let's say his entire like shawarma price is $20 now. You'll pay for that thing because he gave you extra work. He gave you extra value. That's what you need to understand. Price gouging at your level or at our level is not real. At our level, we cannot price gouge. We cannot do these massive sort of, like just ridiculously increasing the price without changing anything, because it looks rude. It looks like it's not even about like, you probably are doing a lot for your clients. You probably are doing way too much. That's, again, you set the expectation wrong. That's on your side. That's your fault, not the client's fault. But the point is that you need to understand that if you're going to increase the price of any service that you have, you will need to sell value. You will need the chain of value to be sent. Now, how do I structure this? Now, the acquiring of the customer is the hardest. For me, the cost is pretty low. It's $100, and I make around, like, per client, I would say on average like 5 to 6 grand pure profit. And the cost of acquiring, now of course there's internal cost, that's not my actual offer, but to send the DMs, do all that work, but of course I do have a lot of time that I use, right? A lot of management is getting done, but equating this both makes sense for me. So if I agreed to sell my client my service for, let's say, 8K, and then I say, "Hey, bro, you paid for this exact thing for 8K and you're giving the value and everything is awesome. You're making way too much money now. So I'm just going to be an asshole and I'm just going to charge you 12K. How bad does that sound on paper? This is what you guys do. This is what some people do. This is what people think, like, "Hey, I need to increase the prices for my clients." If I say, "Hey, bro, I have these 3 new systems which would generate you a lot of money or save you a bunch of time, but it's 12K now. Would you buy it?" He'll be like, "Fine." But he'll be like, then he will consider it. At this point, at the first point when I told him, "Hey, I'm just increasing the prices, I'm not giving this value," he's not going to consider it. After I told him that, "Hey, these things will save you more money or make you more money than 12 grand you invest," he'll buy it. That's how people work. And if you look at any company, let's look at Gillette. Most of my audience is male. If you're a female, thanks for watching. But look at Gillette. Now, Gillette sells, I don't know how to spell Gillette. Stop it. I'm going to draw a video on this why. Whatever it is, I can't write Gillette. But basically, the first purchase, they lose money. Gillette lose money is on there when you buy the blade, when you buy the entire set, they lose the money. But on the blades, why do you think the blades are ridiculously expensive? Because now you have this, you're already in their loop. Now either you go out, you buy a new blade, or you do that, and that's going to cost you even more. So you take this first purchase, and then with the blades, they make insane profit. The blade costs like 10 cents, and they'll charge you like $20, like not $20, but like $5 for it, or something like massive. I've seen those are expensive. But in terms of blades, but this is the profit margin they're going to make. But how did they make it? They gave you value. You needed new blades. That's a necessity, and that's why they charge ridiculously high. That's like another point that I'm gonna go about that I went on with the monopoly, which is that when you have monopoly or when you have your guy and your crux of your like the chokehold on them, you can increase by this is a kind of unethical. This is not like super moral, but if a business depends on you, like if a business like super depends on you, their business would crash if you like don't provide your service. You can charge them insanely high amounts. They don't have no choice. But would that make them really happy to work with you? Will they consider second options? Probably yes. But the overarching point is that you need to provide value every single time that you are going to upsell to your clients and treat them as humans and not this like entire jargon that people tell you to just price increase all this stuff. They tell you all this stuff. They'll be like, hey bro, even if he leaves we can just get new. Like that's this stressful way of running a business. That's you running with 20 to like like 300 clients, and even if you make like $500,000 a month, 500K a month, let's say, that stress is not like and also you're not going to get the same profit margins. I would much rather make 100 grand and work like 4 hours a week, which can be done by the way. I just like working, that's why I make 12. But I make around like I have between 30 $50,000 a month. I spend a lot of money just like in trying to have these acquisition systems, make these videos for you guys, give you guys the value because I enjoy making these. But you need to understand that this 4 hour work week drama with the 500K will not work. You need, like, this is what people tell you. And also, revenue is not profit. Please. Please, 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 please. It doesn't, when you tell how much do you make, you tell money that comes into your pocket. Even ask an employee how much do they make after taxes. You have to ask after taxes because everybody tries to boast about themselves. So if you hear someone, I made $2 million with my course or something, okay, fine. What was the profit margin? The profit margin is 20%. So you made like nothing basically on that entire thing. And you dealt with the stress. So this is the funny part. Let's say you make $1 million, right? You dealt with the stress and the customer providation for $1 million, but in return you made 100K. That's stupid. That is absolutely asinine. So what you need to do as someone who's smart is just make the 100K with 120K of actual cost, but the profit is 100K, which makes you're performing around 80% profit margin, which you should be if you're an info coach. Like if you're going under than that, 70 is like the last bottom limit. But if you are going over then you are making mistakes. But if you look at this, you literally have 1 million, you're doing the work for 1 million people and getting 100K out of it. That is absolutely dumb. Never do that. Next point I want to make, I'll just hover over my diagrams. My drawings are getting so much beautiful. You guys must be enjoying it. There's a bunch of points that I made for myself, but I'm just going to go over each and one of them. So increasing the price is probably the worst way to get extra money from the clients for the same service. This works only if the client literally depends on you. I already talked about that. Imagine buying a membership a month and later they say, yes, we're not going to add anything and the price is doubled, so please buy. Will you buy from them? No. What you need to do is solve one problem and then go on different departments. This is what I'm going to touch on, and actually have systems that will save your time or make money. Thinking of your clients as people. Where do they live? What do they have? Kids? Do they have a family? What are they making? You need to humanize your clients and see them as an actual person. After this practice, you will feel like you're using your clients as in cash machine. This is what most people do. After I tell my clients to like make that list, they're like, yeah, bro, I've been using this guy completely bad. Even me, from my experience, as a pro tip, this is a little secret because you are making to the end of the video and you have an attention span. The pro tip is that always handle disputes on calls. Never do this over text, or like calls over text anyway, because the tonality, the way that you speak, the way that you do this, I made this mistake myself. That's why I'm telling you guys to not to repeat it. If the client says, hey, I want to leave, hey, I want to stop this offer, hey, I don't think this is going to work any longer, or hey, thanks for the working, I want to leave. You first of all, you disarm. You're like, awesome, no worries. But like, could we just have a call? Can we just catch up? And you can be like, fine. And then you ask them the actual reason, because on the call they can't escape. On the text they can write something. They can even take your time. They can like, it's just a hassle. Never, never, ever handle disputes over text if they are high ticket. Of course, if you're mid ticket, low ticket guy, then you need to do like customer service, all that stuff. But that's why, again, when you have a bigger audience, bigger market, you treat them as statistics. You have either AI doing it or some guy from Filipino doing it. Why? Because you cannot humanize your clients. Another point, that to connect back to. Calls are the easiest way to handle these disputes. If I see something going bad, I'm like, okay, let's hop on a call. Let's see what's actually happening, and then give them advice, give them a different perspective. If they want to continue, sure, go ahead, leave. But most of the time, most people stay. Reason being that because they understand the decisions that they make in the long term will not work. Because I have so many people after getting my service, they're like, yeah, I'm making money, everything's fine, but I want to, I don't know. There's this crazy that because of vibe coding, people are so much into SaaS. SaaS is hard. SaaS is like every single 14-year-old kid's dream is to like build an app and make $1 billion and just live off of it. People think exiting is that easy. Exiting is not that easy. First of all, you need to make your entire structure of your business or your SaaS company in a way that it runs effectively without you touching a button. That's the first part. So you need to find the right investors who will invest in your company and not sue you later. Then there's contracts. There's so many layers that comes into actually exiting that most people do not consider. They think, oh, I'm just gonna exit out and just like live on the Palm Beach and then become the startup guy. It's a fantasy. Do not fall for it. It's a complete BS. And what you need to do, you need to understand and be grateful for the cash flow that you get from this business. And of course, sure, make your investments. I'm not saying not to make your investments, not to do that. But I see so many people trying to jump on SaaS, trying to jump on all these things, making their client literally a cow for who they are. And that's why my clients want to work with me, because I'm like, hey, do you have anything else you want to fix? Hey, do you have anything else you're feeling with? I break my clients' limiting belief all of the time, because the most important skill you can give to your client is breaking their limiting beliefs. Because if you can break their limiting beliefs, they can do anything. They can make the most amount of money. They can get the most amount of, whatever they want. And the easiest way to kind of like replicate that is via the breaking of the limiting beliefs, breaking their thinking patterns that causes them to stuck and stay the same. Because I implement so many systems in so many people's businesses and they still suck because their mindset is just not right. They hop on a call, they have everything right, but they don't have that confidence. Why? Because it's their limiting belief, because they think they're not worthy of it, which a lot of times causes them to just backtrack and just get stuck in that way of making 100k, 500k, 200, 300k, whatever their goal is. And you guys need to understand that as consultant, as business owners, to break them. So pro tip, never handle disputes over text. Second point would be humanize your clients. Third point would be to look into your clients' limiting beliefs and break them as soon as possible, because that's going to create them a lot more money. And yeah, that's the entirety of this video. I hope you guys liked it. I'm going to be dropping more of like abstract topics. Next video, I'm thinking I'm going to do about history and how like creative strategy will help you in business more than like any book, anything on the planet. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.